Hi guys, this is Tina. Welcome back to my channel. So we've been looking at how to kind of use books and images from books in particular in your journals and in your work. So today what I thought we'd have a look at is how to use actual, the images themselves as the bulk of your embellishment piece, if that makes sense. So what I've done, I've torn out 2 pages here. I've got one from the Animal Stories and one from the Victoria Plum book. And as you can see, they're pretty massive images. So they would kind of effectively take up, a large area on your page. So if I just pull in kind of an A4 sheet, hold on, just so we can kind of see the size that these are and what they would be taking up kind of on a journal, an A4 folded in half journal page. So as you can see, this one, pretty much taking up the whole thing. This one obviously far exceeds it, but even if you kind of cut the image down, it's going to be pretty monstrous kind of on the page. So I kind of like to, cut these down and kind of use them in their entirety, if they're these big images, but obviously kind of making them smaller to kind of fit them onto the page. So if we just kind of work on them one at a time. So if we take the Victoria Plum one first. So what I'm going to do is cut around this edge. Now to me, this is lending itself to a kind of like a corner tuck spot, but possibly kind of going across because obviously it's kind of built up at both sides of the image. So what I'm going to do is kind of trim it down like this, and obviously where the image is not so interesting, I don't mind cutting into it, if that makes sense. So just going to kind of cut a bit more into that like that, because we're trying to kind of make it as small as we can, but without kind of spoiling the actual image itself. So if you can see there, it's now kind of this size against this page, but it's obviously still, very long. So I like to tear my images. If you've kind of watched my channel before, you'll know that, I like kind of tearing pieces. So rather than try and fussy cut around this, I would just kind of tear across, fussy tearing kind of around the image. And then obviously we can kind of work from there. So I'm just going to kind of tear roughly kind of around the image itself. So, again, I'm not kind of trying to be exact here, but just kind of to get some sort of measure of it. So, we've really not lost very much of that image so far, but we may kind of tear it down slightly more. So I should put that in the bin. So as you can see, that's now kind of a much more manageable piece on a page. So what I kind of like to do at this point is, again, if you just bring in some book page. So again, I'm just reaching for my encyclopedia, and again, I'm just going to pick, a page that I'm not going to be, using. So just a kind of text page. And then I'm going to glue this down, effectively, just like we did kind of, or just like we have done a couple of times on here. We're just kind of reinforcing this just so it's a bit stronger and more robust to have it as a kind of pocket, as a piece on its own. So just kind of plenty of glue, and then, whoops, we'll just pop that on. And actually what I should have done was obviously, glued it over at the edge, and then that would have been less cutting to do, but never mind. So just spread the glue out nicely. And then obviously I'm just going to cut around it again. So, and again, like when I make my tags, I just want to cut in just slightly, a couple of millimeters into the piece, because obviously then any pieces that aren't quite glued to the edges, hopefully you're kind of capturing those and cutting those off as well. So we just, cut it in slightly. And then I'm just going to go round and kind of re-fussy tear around the piece itself. So just like that. Okay. Just kind of round that piece off a little bit. So I'm happy with how that kind of looks. Let me just bin this. Oops. So obviously this is kind of still a bit wet at the moment, so it's not particularly, you know, solid or anything. It's quite fragile and flimsy still. But I mean, once that dries up, it will be, you know, more robust and kind of solid. So, you know, it would be kind of a better piece to kind of have glued down onto a page. So obviously I'm keen to still not really cover up too much of the image, but obviously we do want it to kind of be slightly decorated. So I just kind of play around until I kind of get some bits that I'm happy with. So I can start with, obviously, you know, we could have a piece of doily on here. And then if I just kind of have a look and see what bits and pieces that I've got some blue lace, which obviously kind of picks up the blue from the water there, so that might be kind of nice to use. If we had that, whoops, maybe run it, oh gosh, maybe running down that way might be quite nice. And for me, it's crying out for a kind of flower or something that's in that purple colour. Now, I don't know whether I got anything in that colour, so let's have a look. So I've got some flowers here. Some of these are some flowers that I have kind of sprayed and dyed. Nope, that's much too purple. Got this one, which, well, that's not too bad a match actually. I didn't think that was going to match at all. Let's have a look. Pop those down. Just going to see whether I've got any other kind of flowers or anything. We've got half that butterfly, we could have that on there. Not sure about the doily actually. I'll get rid of the doily. So I'm just going to have a look and see whether I've got any kind of deeper purple flowers, because I know that I did have some. Aha! Right, these are looking hopeful, so fingers crossed. Something here is going to kind of be, that's a good colour match, isn't it? I'm not sure about the style of that flower though. I mean, because this book is so pretty and colourful, actually, strangely, a lot of these colours go nicely with it. I mean, actually the brown, you know, I never would have been looking for brown flowers, but oddly the brown goes really quite nicely. Is that the same colour as that? I think it is. Okay. I'll just put those down to the side. Oh, the piece of ticket. We could have that on there. I mean, again, I'm just literally picking up rubbish that I've got kind of on my desk. I'm not kind of, you know, worrying too much about kind of whether things are, you know, what things are. I'm just randomly picking up anything that I've got laying about. So obviously at the moment I've got quite a lot of stuff here from the other episodes that I have been doing. Again, I would kind of chop that off here. So let's just have a look. And that's quite pretty, isn't it? Maybe up higher. Now, I'm not sure about that coloured lace, funnily enough. Thought it was a brilliant match at first, but I'm not so sure very annoying because my light again is, you know, I think altering the kind of colour of the pieces. So I'm going to quickly grab some purple flowers that I've got just here to the side, and I have also got some purple lace trim. Hold on. So these purple flowers, but these are probably too purple now. Now I'm looking. Let's just trim one of those off. Oh, again, because of the light, it's very hard to see what's the right way up for that flower. I know that probably that doesn't really make any sense, you know, when you're watching, but honestly, when you're actually looking and you're under the glare of that lamp, it's really hard to see, you know, what colour some of these things are. Just going to try trimming this in half and see whether we might prefer this. Oops. Oh yeah, I prefer it like that, I think. Okay, so I quite like that. Now, is that the right ticket? I wonder. Just having a look around to see if I've got anything else. I don't know whether I have really got anything else kind of here at the moment. And is that the right lace? So I've also got this lilac kind of lace, but this is very, very, very wide trim. Kind of quite nice. Actually, I have also got this purple, which, let's just have a look. Might be overdoing the purple now. Oh no, I do like it with the purple. It looks really cute with the purple. So, right, I'm going to go, I think, for that. So if I just pop this away. So I'm just going to glue down this ticket kind of piece here. Now I can't actually remember whether we whether we inked up the last Victoria Plum piece that we did. Ah, right. We used that new Wild Honey ink. So I might just lightly, don't want to overdo it because obviously this is a new ink pad. It would be kind of very juicy, so don't want to kind of overdo it, but just slightly around the edges. Okay, I'm just going to kind of lightly go over that little ticket label thing as well. Okay. I love this colour. I mean, I have to be very careful with it because it is very, you know, very orange, very kind of deep colour, but it is very nice. So I'm liking it. Okay. So we're going to have this lace trim here. Just wondering whether we want it running down that way and we'll kind of trim it. Oh, we'll have it this way, I think. Now again, this has got kind of a seam which I'm not so keen on, so I might just cut that and then try and trim that kind of seam off. Like that. Okay. Just kind of makes it slightly more delicate for kind of running down the edge of the page like that. So I think that's kind of a good call, really. So I'm just going to use that fabric glue. And just run that down like that. Glue that down. Right. Oops. And then we're going to have this flower, which I would just obviously glue on. Oops. Like that. Oops. Try and kind of tuck it slightly under the lace, like that. Check that I'm putting this the right way up. I'm going to have that in there, I think. Actually, it's quite nice kind of lower down, I think, so I'll just hot glue that on again just for speed. So I'll just pop that on there. I mean, I just think that looks really cute, just exactly as it is. But I mean, if you wanted something now kind of giving it a bit of dimension, you could always kind of add a butterfly, you know, as we seem to kind of constantly do. But that just kind of adds a little bit of something kind of different, a different dimension. Just noticed this orange flower just floating around on my desk and just thought, wonder if that would go there, because obviously it's got that orange from those fish. So we could just kind of have a little orange flower there. I mean, really, we're just kind of building up the edge here, you know, making it a little bit more interesting. So I'm just going to, again, I'm just going to hot glue this down. Two reasons really. A, obviously it's quickest, and B, it just gives it a kind of bit more dimension because it's slightly raised. So there we go. And then, now where's that little flower, that tiny one? If we could have that on there. Just because this one is obviously quite large. But to be fair, it is a better colour. So large or not, we might have to go for that because it is definitely a kind of better colour on there. So I'm just going to go for that. There we go. So for me, I mean, I think that just looks, you know, finished now. I don't think it needs anything else. I'm just having a look to see if I've got any buttons. As I'm actually saying, you know, it doesn't need anything else. I'm just having a look for some buttons. But just, you know, you could kind of add a couple of buttons onto here. I don't necessarily think it needs them. But just kind of an option, I guess, is that you could. So let me just have a look. Kind of see if I've got anything really, you know, kind of calling me that it's glaringly obvious to use. So it's weird, isn't it? Because that one just flung itself across the desk, which actually out of all of them, that was the one. But it's obviously quite big. And it's not the nicest looking button either. That one's nicer. Again, it's quite big, but let's see whether I've got any similar colours but smaller. I don't think I have. Again, I need to really go through my, you know, little button tray and bring some of the smaller buttons kind of over into this bag because, you know, I seem to be left with only quite huge buttons now in here, which, you know, they're not always kind of the best, are they? So, I mean, I think they have their uses. But everything I've seemed to want to do lately seems to need smaller buttons, so maybe something like that. Have a look. Or maybe like that. So I'll pop on this one. This is a kind of brownie colour if the camera's not picking that up properly. It's cross between a brown and a plum colour, funnily enough, but it seems it kind of picks up the colour of her hair quite nicely. So we'll have that one there, and then we'll just use this little pink one that kind of just, you know, mimics the colour of that flower, I think, quite nicely. So just put that on there like that. Okay, so I mean, I think that's really all that needs now, and you know, it really doesn't need anything else. Let me just get this hot glue strands off of here. Oh, you shouldn't touch it, should you? Right. So, and obviously, you know, if this were a journal page, that's how that would look on the page, and you'd obviously just tuck your little pieces in there. You know, I would glue it down here and down here, and it would just be glued onto the page, and you tuck things in behind it. So, you know, that is your piece, just using the kind of book page. So, you know, super cute, I think. So if we do another one now, let me just check how much time I've got. Okay, 22 minutes. So again, I'm going to reinforce this with some just plain text. So again, I'm just going to drag in my encyclopedia page, and before I obviously glue it on, I'm just going to trim it down slightly so as we kind of make it slightly smaller. So I'll pop it like that, and then probably would tear around here. So tear that down, just so it's kind of, you know, a little bit smaller. And I just always like those torn edges. You know, I think they look really nice. So we can glue that onto here. So I'll glue it onto that side. It's a bit easier to see what we're doing then. Right, so I'm going to try and be a bit smarter this time and actually glue it to the straighter edge. So I'll try and get as close as I can to the edges this time. Right. Oops, come on. And again, just put some glue more in the middle of it. Turn it round. Okay. Oops. So we'll just take that as close to the edge as we can. Like that. Obviously I will need to trim down the bottom, but that's fine. And then we're just going to fussy tear around there. Tear down here. It's kind of tricky to do because obviously it's now a little bit wide for me to actually kind of get my hand around. Right, I'm just going to trim the bottom down like that. Okay, so that's kind of my basis of my piece, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of remember basically how I kind of decorated the other ones, because again, you know, I do really like things quite matching and kind of running through in a theme. So I just want to kind of remember really what I've been doing with these, and obviously we were using these kinds of patterns, so you know, I just want to kind of go probably along with a similar kind of theme. So again, I'm just going to kind of take that ticket, which actually, sorry, I'm just rustling my carrier bag of rubbish here beside me. Just going to have a look through, try and get one of my corner flower pieces, which I know that I have got, but now I can't see any. So just bear with me for a couple of moments. Okay. Oh, why is it when you're looking for things you just can't find them? Right, here we go. So I've got this piece here. I mean, definitely when I created this kit, this was not my my plan of how to use it at all. But it was just really that when I was doing the videos, you know, I was looking around for something nice and bright and cheery to put with the book pages, and this just happened to be in my kind of pile beside me, so, or, you know, behind me. So I just thought, oh, I'll go with those. And actually, it seems to be just really looking cute. So I shall just stick with it now. Okay. That's it. Okay, right. So that's our little corner bit. So, I mean, we could have it on that side, like that, and the ticket here. Or obviously we could have it kind of running here and move the ticket over, which was obviously my first kind of plan. So I think we'll do that, which looks really cute already. And then do we want kind of anything else kind of around it? So I'm just having a look. Got some little roses that may or may not go. You know, they might not go at all, in which case we obviously won't have them. Got a little butterfly. I'm not sure how easy I'm going to be able to cut that out because it's next to the bird cage, and with the glare of the lamp I'm not sure I can really see properly to be able to cut it out, but we'll give it a go. Okay. Cut that bit in the middle. Okay. That's it. So might be able to have a little butterfly there. I'll just cut these roses out. Okay, right, sorry, lots of silence going on there while I was cutting those bits out. I don't know quite why it's so silent, but there we go. Right, so, I mean, I quite like that. I know it's kind of a strange order to kind of have things in, but I think it looks really quite sweet. So I might just kind of pop it down like that. So if I just glue the ticket down first. Like that. And we'll just glue the flowers on. Oh, it's really muggy today. I feel very, very hot. It's one of those silly days that keeps raining, but it's really muggy. So, yeah. Okay. So that's that piece there. Just get my tissue, dab some bits off, like that. I mean, we could have that piece there. Is that a bit strange? I can't really tell. I'm assuming that's a boy, but I can't quite kind of tell, to be honest. Oh, perhaps we'll have it like that. Because otherwise I feel like that top section of that's quite plain and boring. So just kind of pop that on there, and then it kind of livens that part up. So there we go. And then we'll pop this butterfly down, I think, there. Could have put it on the dog's nose, but it seems to cover his eyes up completely, so we actually then wouldn't really be able to see the dog, which that's probably not the look that, you know, I was trying to kind of achieve there. And I thought I'd get all fun and creative, you know. It was not quite the look that I was going for, to just cover it up completely. Right, I'm just having a look to see whether I've got any kind of lace or anything else that would kind of go nicely with this. I've got this fabric, which kind of goes really nicely with that kit, which I'd never actually noticed ever before, but it does look really quite nice with it. I think I've actually got some ruffles in that ready done, so let me just quickly have a look, see whether I have or not. Oh, maybe I haven't. I thought I had some kind of that I'd ready, you know, hand stitched, but I don't think I have. I've got some that are a different, you know, the other colourway, so same fabric but different colours. They are not quite so good at blending in, so I won't bother with those. So to have this, I would have to kind of staple it on, which, you know, don't mind. Or maybe it's a bit much. I mean, obviously if this were on a journal page, it would be a kind of corner tuck spot down in this corner here. So if we just kind of see what a little ruffle would look like, kind of there on the edge, that's kind of how it would appear. It's not quite right, is it? No, that one's not quite right. So let's just have a look. I've got this other lace here, which that's kind of better actually. Oh, I think that one's better. So if I just trim that down. Now again, this one is one of those kind of double laces. So I often, when I use this, I like to trim it in half. So to just have it at kind of half width. I think it kind of works nicely like that. I won't say better, because sometimes it works okay the other way, but you know, quite often I think it works nicely like this. So that's quite nice, isn't it? Oh no, that's a bit on the bright side. Right, let me glue that down so it doesn't keep kind of moving around. You know, get it attached, and then it's not constantly moving around. Oops, I just flicked one of my buttons into my carrier bag bin. Okay, so that's on there like that. Just again, dab that with my tissue. Oh, come on. Oh, come on. It's all stuck all over me. Right. Okay, so, I mean, that's kind of cute, isn't it? And then, you know, we could have something up here if we wanted. Maybe something down there. So I might just have this little kind of flower here. Again, I'm just going to hot glue that because it's just instant. I'll just put another glue stick in. And then at the top here, oops, we might just pop something on from here. Let me just see. Just going to see how another rosebud would look, or whether that's kind of overkill. passing that around. Oh, it's a bit like watching paint dry, isn't it? Just watching me fussy cut. Oh well. Okay. Oh gosh, come on. Okay. Weirdly enough, talking of fussy cutting, actually, I've had this on my desk like for a couple of weeks now to show you. This was my daughter. She fussy cut this this cat. It's on a little card that Carol had sent me, and my daughter fussy cut it out, which, I mean, she's only 5, so I think she did a pretty good job of it. And then she said to me, "Oh Mum, look, I've made it so its arms move." So she's just cut kind of slits in it here so its little arms move, which I thought was really clever. So yeah, I thought she did brilliantly well, to be honest. Kind of her fussy cutting skills are pretty good, aren't they? She's got pretty much into the edges and made a pretty good job of it, I think. So yeah, she obviously quite likes her fussy cutting as well. Right. I'm going to kind of have that there. The only thing is I'm going to probably have to kind of cut some of that off because it's only paper, and it would obviously be kind of just constantly getting kind of bent. So I'm going to stick it down, and then I'm going to kind of cut off the excess. So I'll just kind of stick that like that. Oops. And then we'll just kind of cut it down a bit here. There we go. Oops, what's that? There we go. So, I mean, I think that's kind of, again, you know, all that piece needs. And again, you know, if this were a journaling page, that's how that would look. You know, I would just kind of stick it down on the corner, and it would be a kind of side-loading corner pocket or tuck spot. So, you know, that's how I kind of would use the larger images in the kind of children's books, in those kinds of ways. So I hope that, again, you know, it's been kind of use in some way, and we're kind of cracking on and, yeah, kind of experimenting a little bit, you know, a little bit more with the kind of book page images. So I hope that you are enjoying the kind of mini series, and I will see you all again soon. Thanks then. Bye.